Hi, I'm Bryan Duarte, Managing Partner for Blacktech Capital, a venture fund investing in underrepresented founders in the climate tech space. I'm also a Cleantech entrepreneur in residence for HydrogenII Accelerator. I've got an extensive background in the energy industry, over 30 years, and quite a focus on sustainability and clean tech in the last 10 years or so.
Hi, I'm Martin Vroegh. I'm the CEO of HydrogenII Canada, and it's a startup company here in Canada that produces hydrogen from waste plastics. I'm also a founding board member of the Ontario Cleantech Industry Association with a background in heavy industry and heavy manufacturing for over 25 years. So my experience on dealing with clean tech in general here is that there's a lot of opportunity. The fact that we, depending on the scale of whatever a founder or a company is trying to take advantage of here, there's so many different opportunities from a market perspective. There's obviously the local perspective, there's the Great Lakes perspective, there's a Greater Toronto Area perspective, there's the international aspect of what can be made here that can be exported. You have a very high caliber of well-educated employment opportunities here and people to pick from as far as building a business goes. So I think that we have that diversity of scale of everything from small to very large is something I think is unique to this area and unique to metropolitan areas that are this big, especially when you're dealing with clean tech.
There is a definite focus on it. There's a focus as a province and there's a focus as a company, recognizing that this is what's needed into the future. So for the country to be successful, for it to meet its 2030, 2050 goals. So you do have that combination of, I guess, federal and provincial input into it to saying this is where we need to go into the future. You look at the battery technologies and the battery plants that are being built up in this area, the focus on manufacturing, the focus on the EV technologies. There's just a lot of attention being put.
When you talk about electrification, the types of technologies that can help with the uniqueness of this area where we can have a summer day in the 30s, but we can also have a winter day in the minus 30s Celsius. And I think that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to have to get their head around if they're not from Canada, is to understand that we air condition everything in the summer and we heat everything in the winter. And the technologies that are around improving how we do those things, whether it's making a tighter building envelope or to utilize energy in a better way, this is a place you can showcase it.
I mean, and on top of those extreme temperature swings, what you were talking about before, you can be in a dense urban area, so you can test out your technologies and that. Then you can be in the middle of nowhere in a short period of time. I know if you're testing out technologies, whether it's say new drone technologies, the distances they can go, if they're not directly connected to a Wi-Fi network or something like that, you want to see how it operates in a remote area.
Brampton is uniquely situated, nestled right in between two of the largest cities within the Golden Horseshoe in that Greater Toronto Area, and that's Toronto and Mississauga.
You've got the proximity to the airport. You're very close to that. If you're doing any traveling with your business, if you're connected to Waterloo, is one of our big hubs for development, technology, AI, and you're 45 minute drive from Waterloo. So you're poised between that, not only between Toronto and Mississauga, but for Waterloo as well.
BHive certainly makes Brampton a great resource for companies that are coming to Canada and want to achieve that mentorship and the best chance of success, a place they can ask questions, a place they can get guidance.
We are very much focused on going beyond what's just typical for an accelerator. We've got the partnership here with BHive, but bringing entrepreneurs in there. We've got things like a champions panel that is part of that, where we bring in industry experts, we bring in different advisors. Altitude has 60 different advisors, and that kind of attention and focus on your business is key.
When I'm working with startups and doing mentoring, one of the things I see is there's a big difference between some companies and others on how much homework they do. A lot of the homework that can be done is to understand what is that path to growth from a human resources perspective. Those those startup visa programs are really geared towards how can a company come to Canada and build it up, hire Canadians, and manufacture products and services here in Canada.
Exactly. I mean, and speaking of doing that homework, I see not on the human resources side, but I also see from a market perspective, the way we are here, things are much more what I call centralized. For example, our grid system, right, where we have centralized power plants, centralized transmission and distribution. And if you're thinking you're coming from an environment or a country where it's much more decentralized and you're just doing things only locally, that doesn't work the same way here. So you really have to understand the market and the population. You have to understand the transportation challenges, right? Where we're a massive country, right? Geographically huge. So to get something from here to Vancouver or even from here to Montreal is not the same as if you're in a smaller area. So understanding the geography, understanding the market, the more homework you can do ahead of time, the better. One of the things with Altitude Accelerator, we're connected to Green Center out of Kingston. And they're a chemistry lab that specifically works not only with big companies, but with startups. So you can go in there, they can help you with that chemical analysis, they can help you do that deeper dive into your technology to develop those, whether it's biofuels or other green technologies.
Altitude can help connect people and entrepreneurs to those groups. Mm-hmm. It's another reason that this ecosystem here from a Cleantech vantage point is going to be hard to beat compared to almost any other jurisdiction globally.
There's one of the other focuses that we haven't talked about much is that carbon capture and utilization. It is a focus for Canada. It is a focus in an area that we are going to be working on, but I don't see enough startups in that sector. And there's a lot of opportunities. I mean, we've got, as you mentioned, a carbon tax and the carbon pricing. You've got a lot of big emitters, whether it would be out in Alberta where you're dealing with the oil and gas sector, whether you're dealing on the East Coast where you've got more coal utilization. There is a big gap and a big need to do that carbon capture and utilization. So this is, taking some of our large industrial plants. How do we take what they're emitting and utilize that, right? Turn that into carbon, into useful products.